In Unit 2, slope stability, I am going to explain about this figure for the problem. In this, we are taking three layers: layer 1 as velocity 1 as Vp1, layer 2 velocity as Vp2, and layer 3 velocity as Vp3. And the 4 points are A, B, C, D, and the distance between layers are taken as Z1 and Z2. So this is the curve. We can see not only one layer, we can also calculate with this change of the slope. We can determine the velocity of, so by this we can see that we have drawn a curve by taking distance x on x axis and time of the first arrival, that is t on y axis, and we are going to draw the graphs. So this will give us the 1 by Vp1, 1 by Vp2, and similarly 1 by Vp3. Similarly, we can determine the thickness of the Z1, Z2, and so on. Now, so if I solve one particular problem where we have done some refraction survey at the side, and you are getting the way whatever we are used 1 to 10 up to the 10 geophones. The result of a refraction survey at a site as shown below, and the distance of the geophone from the source is the one, that is 2.5, 5, 7.5, and 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, and 50. And the time of the first interval of the wave, that is the time of the first arrival of the wave, which is millisecond. Remember that this is represented in millisecond. So these are the values and these are the distances. Distance is on x axis and the value arrival, time of first arrival, is on the right side. We have drawn it in a xn versus the first arrival time of the wave. Here on the x axis we are taking x suffix n, and on the y axis we are taking time interval, that is time arrival. So this is the curve. So we have drawn this curve. So this is the xn and this is the time which is in millisecond into 10 power minus 3. So it is in second, 10 into 10 power minus 3, because these values are in milliseconds. So now if I look at this curve, that there is a different slope, you can see that. So what is the slope? We can identify these slopes. So we can identify three slopes. One is 1 by Vp1, and second one is 1 by Vp2, and the third one is 1 by Vp3. So from this curve, from this test data, we can determine the slope, which will be given by 1 by Vp1, and the second slope is given by 1 by Vp2, and the third slope is given by 1 by Vp3. So now we have done the calculation, and from the slope that we are getting that Vp1 is equal to 500 meter per second. From the figure we can get Vp1 value as slope value, that is Vp1 is equal to 500 meter per second and Vp2 is equal to 1429 meter per second and Vp3 is equal to 3663 meter per second. So you may get some slightly different value, because that depends upon how you are drawing these curves, because you are after joining this curve, it may not be represented in a smooth form, but you may get slightly different values based on the curve inclination. Now by this we will get the velocity of each layer, that is for velocity 1, velocity 2 and velocity 3, that is Vp1 velocity 1 and Vp2 velocity 2 for second layer and Vp3 velocity 3 for third layer. Now if I extend this line, it is up to the 10. So what I am getting is that another 10 values. So here the T naught value represent here 20 into 10 to the power of minus 3 seconds. So now from here we will get the value that Z1 is equal to T naught into Vp1 into Vp2 by 2 square root of Vp2 square minus Vp1 square. By keeping Vp1 and Vp2 and T naught values, we are going to get Z1 value as 2.7 meters. After getting the Z1 value, we are going to calculate Tr, where Tr is equal to xn by Vp3 plus 2 into Z1 into square root of Vp3 square minus Vp1 square by Vp3 square into Vp1 square plus 2Z2 into x into square root of 1 by Vp2 square minus 1 by Vp3 square, where T naught is equal to 20 into 10 power minus 3 seconds. Finally, we will get Z2 as 7.21 meters. So this derivation I have not done in the 3-layer system. Here we can do for the n number of layer system. So I have done the derivation for 2-layer system, but you can extend it for 3-layer system. You will get this type of expression of Tr. So here these are the 3 velocities of the waves and these are the thickness of each layer, that is 2.7 meter for Z1 and 7.2 meter for Z2. Now the next thing is that if you are not if you don't get good result because of the condition, it is not satisfying that your velocity is not increasing the depth and there is a hidden layer where it is giving the opposite trend, then you have to go for the seismic crosshole survey, which is simple that you construct 2 or more boreholes, then this is your source and you put the receiver, you know the distance, that is measuring the time, will get the distance divided by time, which is simple. Here you can collect the soil sample because you have the boreholes. So here whether it is increasing or decreasing does not matter, but the problem here it is time consuming, you have to construct boreholes, but the other method is seismic refraction test or seismic refraction survey, where you do not need to go for any borehole, so which is time saving process and you can get the sub properties of the soil. But here we have to go for the borehole, which is time consuming, but if the soil layer is not satisfying the condition of seismic refraction test, then you have to go for seismic crosshole survey. And then, but among 3 tests, if your soil is satisfying the condition, seismic refraction survey is most acceptable and we use that. Now once we get the velocity, then what we will do means, so if we have different layers, that is for it means it may be 2 or 3 depending upon the type of area of the soil, that it may be single receiver or multiple receivers. And now once you get the velocity, either the Vp or Vs, these are the expressions. So you will get the soil properties. So this is G, that is G is the shear layer, Rho is the density of the soil. So remember that density means Rho is equal to unit weight divided by the G. So if I know the Rho, all unit weight and G, that is G we can take 10 micron per meter, that is 10 meter per second. So that we can use this for the g and this velocity v suffixes that you are getting. So if you know the velocity, that if you know the density, then we can determine what is the shear modulus of the soil. Similarly, k is the bulk modulus of the soil. If I know that vp, if I know the g, you can get the, then we can calculate the bulk modulus of the soil. So these are the modulus that we are getting from the velocity. So from that, ultimately from the velocity we are getting the soil properties as well as the thickness of the soil layer. But one last thing I want to mention before I finish this lecture, today's lecture, that from here as I mentioned that our velocity. So if I take Vs equal to g by rho. So I mentioned that as the density increases, velocity also increases. But here your density from this expression, if I say g is constant, that is shear modulus is constant, then density increases, it means velocity will decrease. So it is not satisfying. Actually it is not true, because when your density increases, your g is not constant, g is also increases. Whenever the density increases, shear modulus also increases. So that is why overall the velocity of the soil increases. So if your density increases, shear modulus is also increased and the velocity of the wave is also increased. So by this I am finishing the today's lecture. So this is the last lecture